So the Dow Jones moved up 650 points on Friday alone, and it still single-handedly had one of its worst performing weeks of 2025. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. I want to talk about some of the good news when it comes down to the overall NASDAQ market. NASDAQ market saw a really nice recovery on Fridays from overall lows to current highs of right around 480 per share. On the 4-hour time frame, when looking at the technicals, we're touching that EMA line, and this is something that we have not been able to break above ever since the sell-off really began, right? Trump's inauguration, the series of the trade war tariffs, going back and forth, not just with Canada and Mexico, but a series of other countries as well, has instilled a lot of fear into the market and caused a lot of pain. At the overall peak, the NASDAQ or overall markets have lost $5.5 trillion, but with its performance that it had on Friday, it recovered about 1.3 trillion of that. So we're in the very early stages of a possible reversal. Can the market begin to recover? It looks like the market is prepping for it as long as no more fear is being instilled into the market. I want to remind you that this upcoming week, the Federal Reserve will be hosting their FOMC meeting, which is when they're going to come together and decide, are they going to be raising interest rates, pausing, or cutting interest rates. As of right now, to the last time I checked the Fed Rate Monitor tool, there's about a 2% probability that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates. Other than that, there's about a 98% probability that the Federal Reserve will continue to pause, which again, if the Federal Reserve pauses, market really might not do too much. If there's a surprise rate cut, the markets will most likely skyrocket or begin to recover because that's what the markets have been waiting for. As of right now, the Federal Reserve only has a total of 2 rate cuts planned for 2025. So I just wanted to share with you currently where the market sits. And if we do begin to show signs of a recovery, again, technicals can only take you so much. They mean absolutely goose egg when Trump is sending out tweets or messages about the different countries that he's going to be implementing these tariffs with. I want to be completely straight up with you, right? Because at one moment, he's beefing with Canada and with Europe. Another moment, he's saying that, markets are going to begin to recover. And that is the sole reason. I mean, feel free to look at every article out there. It's the sole reason. Right after that message, the sole reason on why markets began to recover because of the sentiment of, maybe he won't continue to instill fear with all of these tariffs. So again, we are one tweet away from markets beginning to free fall again. I just want to make sure that you understand that. It's not to scare you. It's just so you're no longer surprised. Remember, there are deals, not just with the overall NASDAQ market, but if you pay attention to any big tech companies. I mean, I don't want to say Tesla is one of these, but Tesla is down about 50% from its overall highs that it made, which again, it never really belonged at 488 per share. But let's say Elon really gets its act together and makes a comeback, right? This thing is down 48.77%, pretty much 50%. So that means that if it does recover, which I'm not saying that it will, but stocks like this, even if it does recover and it goes back to previous highs, this thing would offer nearly a 100% ROI. Now, Tesla's kind of one of those unicorns, right? But when it comes down to something like NVIDIA had a huge recovery. Now, again, this is only if the sentiment continues to be bullish. From current levels, if it does end up recovering back to previous highs, this thing offers about a 25 to 26% ROI. And again, NVIDIA is one of the most valuable companies that's publicly traded. It's not just NVIDIA, it's Apple stock as well. Apple stock is incredibly oversold. The reason I'm sharing this with you is I know a lot of the times we talk about, there's a lot of fear that's being injected into the market, but there really is a lot of opportunity that's presenting itself. I don't think that beginners should be buying bullshit stocks like SMCI or TEM just because Nancy Pelosi and the most recent Politician Trade Tracker announced that she invested into that bullshit company, right? Like, be real. Right now, yes, there is fear in the markets, but that shouldn't completely scare you away. If you've never invested before, this should kind of excite you because if you really think about it, this is where deals are presenting themselves. As long as you have one thing in mind, that you can tolerate the time that it will take for the markets to recover. So watch your position size, do not buy too much, and again, make sure that your timeline makes sense. If you have an expectation of making money now, then maybe buying the dip now might not be the smartest idea because we do not know. We can't predict the future. Markets are bearish and have been bearish. One green day for the market does not define a market recovery. But if you have conviction, if you can tolerate the time, if you've wanted to be invested and you can do it in a tasteful way with a nice light position, then why wouldn't you maybe want to buy some Apple, some Nvidia, some Microsoft, some Meta, knowing that there could be potential downside. But again, because you're lightly invested, maybe you can tolerate even if more fear does continue to get injected into the market. But at least you know long term, you're getting in at a much better price now than what you would have gotten in a few weeks or even a few months ago. So again, I think now is a really exciting time to be paying attention to the market, be paying attention to what the Federal Reserve is doing, to be paying attention to, what is impacting the market. And that's, of course, the trade war, the tensions that are going on overseas, but also what's going on with our inflation and the Federal Reserve. Again, these are all different moving parts, but what better time to start getting invested? I don't want to instill fear in you. I don't want to also, present to you the sky and then obviously ignore the fact that things can get worse before they get better. But I wanted to approach this in a very level-headed way where, hey, there are a bunch of deals out here. You don't have to buy them now, but maybe create a plan of action about one to maybe 3 different stocks that you would consider buying the dip on: the entry, the exit, the stop loss. We talk about it all the time, and there's these risk to reward ratio calculator. You enter your desired entry, exit, where you plan to cut losses. It gives you your risk to reward ratio. But having plans like this, again, if markets do begin to recover, all you need to do is take advantage of one stock. And if it does recover 25%, think about that. The average market growth within the average year is anywhere from 7 to 10%. You did more than double to almost 3 times that simply by identifying an opportunity on a good quality company and being lightly invested, in which not only can you, position yourself well if markets recover, but even if things do get worse before they get better, you're positioned lightly so you can tolerate it. Keep it tasteful, not aggressive. I mean, we even have beginners that are joining our LPP team that all they're literally doing is buying one stock. They just want to prove it to themselves that they can buy one stock, have no expectation to make money now. They can tolerate that time that it will take for the markets to recover. And once the markets do, they will see that percent return, that gain. And it's just about gaining experience. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about the market is that if you have good intentions, you do it well, you do it in a calculated way, it's not too aggressive. Again, it could be a very enjoyable and learning, a very educational experience for yourself that, again, hopefully can motivate you and excite you. The next time that there is a solid retracement or solid pullback, you're prepared for it, right? On how to take advantage of it, not just because you're guaranteed to make money, because again, nothing's guaranteed, but at least you understand the process, the highs, the lows, and again, the ability to position yourself well during fearful times to see if you can make money when markets begin to recover. Very excited to follow up. Hope that earned a thumbs up. And if you ever want to watch me trade live, second link in the description down below. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.